Kaori. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry that I'm not able to be with you there in person, but I've had a long-standing workshop commitment here in Wales over the past couple of days. But it's a great pleasure to be able to share my commissioned sequence of poems that I was very grateful to Kaori for commissioning me to write. Before I actually share the poems themselves, I thought I'd offer a little bit of context to this sequence, which is called The Sack and the Selkie. And the sequence grew out of many decades of fascination with Selkie tales and really the exhilarating range of interpretations in terms of engagement with the more than human and physical and emotional fluidity and flux that the figure of the shape-shifting Selkie offers. And in this era of mass extinction, galloping climate change, political and ecological collapse, I was very interested in rethinking the narrative. For example, how might a Selkie negotiate the process of transformation on an eroded, flooded shore that's littered with marine debris? What if the skin that's being shed is tainted with toxins? And as happens with the reading of traditional fables, what moral might it be possible to draw from all of this? As I began to find a way into the writing of my sequence of Selkie poems, I revisited an episode that I witnessed while I was conducting field research for my work of creative nonfiction, Where the Seals Sing, that Kaori referred to there in the introduction. It was quite a distressing episode. The book is actually, it charts or recounts a journey or several journeys that I took around the coast of the British Isles, visiting every crack and crevice that I possibly could, lots of outlying islands, visiting as many Atlantic grey seal spots as I possibly could, from breeding sites to molting haulouts to summer feeding sites. And at the end of my journey, I was visiting for the second time one of the largest Atlantic grey seal colonies in the UK. And this is located in Horsey in Norfolk. There's a vast extent of sand near the village of Horsey, and it's possible to, where I spent many days, in fact many weeks, crouched in the dunes on the fringes of this colony, watching pups being born in the December and then returning for the huge annual molt the following March and April, and really exploring not only how Atlantic grey seals live, but how we might live more sensitively with them. And while I was there on this final visit, I spotted in the midst of this huge, itchy, scratchy, fractious and fretful colony of molting seals, a young pup of about 4 months old who was trapped in the tangle of a white plastic sack. It was clearly too heavy duty for a domestic rubbish bag. It looked like an empty version of one of the thickly woven polypropylene sandbags that get piled up outside vulnerable coastal properties to reduce the impact of flooding. And as is so often the case with young seals, curiosity must have prompted her to investigate, and it was definitely a female pup, because you can tell by the coloration, and therefore she had swum into this unfamiliar object with its tide-torn openings. In my sequence of poems, it's an adult Selkie rather than a young pup who becomes entangled in the plastic sack, and I focus specifically on the impact of this experience on her seal skin, following the motif of the classic fable in which animals and/or inanimate objects have the ability to speak. I give voice to her skin, as you'll hear in the second and fourth poems in the sequence. After several unsuccessful attempts, the entangled Horsey pup was thankfully freed from the plastic sack by a team of seal rescuers. It was a very complicated business because she had to be isolated from the rest of the colony to avoid a mass stampede into the sea. Thankfully, she was found to be malnourished, but no serious wounds, and she was able to be immediately released back into the sea. However, in The Sack and the Selkie, there's not a happy ending of that kind. The fate of the trapped sealskin is much more ambiguous. I felt it was more appropriate at this time of ecological instability and disruption to close the sequence with the fifth and final poem with a whole slew of possible alternative endings. So this is the sack and the Selkie. 1. All the things this skin can do. This skin is a cupboard for blubber. It collaborates with blood and muscle to glove unborn pups and buffers itself against the crush of cold. This skin is fluent in sea. It speaks with the rising inflection of tides, dreams in waves' lilting language. Though on land it sometimes stutters, snags on jagged vocabularies of rock, it can still articulate its mottled meaning. This skin feels salty distaste for the tyranny of wastes, pities the pink and shaven. Its folds hold the taint of paint and varnish, marbled charts of haul-out sites, decibels of vessels, the yes of elsewhere. This skin never runs out of storage, but is always ready to empty itself when pulled by the full moon. 2. The changing. Sometimes sought it, courted pause from heart-slow, lungless dive, overweighted sea, bore of fall and rise. It wondered me to spill the inner out, then watch her start to upright, the liberate legs for the dance. Kept self-kelped, felt her spinning in my tingle, held the cling of her curvings close on sand. Some nights the stars took part, twirling till moon down, till my double yearn of fur for her return. Once the snatch capture, his clamp of crab hands locked in shocked box, my length of unflesh, my parch. Missed the bliss of itch and scratch, missed outwit of orcas, learnt to groan lonely, missed fold around her fit. Yet never ebbed hope in refresh the wet, requiver the whisker, rekindle my warm, and ever thought that the map of my dapples would show her way back home. 3. Ambushed by plastic, hijacked by a thicker skin, a sack once packed with sand and stacked outside a shuddering door to blunt the force of the sea. Though she tried to fathom the danger, she failed to evade its fake embrace, and now she's trapped, bagged in polypropylene. No more streamlined swimming with minimum drag, no easeful catch of prey. She can't molt it or scratch it away. And when the moon balloons to fullness, the synthetic pelt wrecks her intent to species change. No toe or thumb can be squeezed free. It won't peel to reveal a heel or knee, nor will it engage in negotiations. It'll never learn the words to suckle and muscle, and it's flattened her talent for pattern and insulation. Worse, it won't degrade for decades. She fears it'll outlive her, fears it'll outlive the shape of the shore and all the forms and tellings of her story. 4. Hungers horizontal. Unrecent day, last meal, taste fade of sand eel. Ribs begin to insist themselves. Under blubbers shrunk away. My outside is inside, their dread of flood and losings. Whiskers feelier than fingers, touch industrial. Shiver with earth ache takes. Can't untrap the vertical, can't untrap this howling for earlobes and dance. Bring boats, bring blackbacks, bring dogs, bring pointing voices. Skin's signals hidden, still spell the word for help. And the fifth and final poem is called This Is Not the End of the Story. In time, a bustle of turnstones arrives to rootle through all the possible truths, flipping them and bringing each cool underside into the light. 1. The thin skin of coincidence delivers the man who grabbed the pelt and kept it captive. Paunched with remorse, he orchestrates a transfer to a sanctuary. When the sack spins smoothly removed, she's sent to a pen with a micropool for healing of wounds and feeding. 2. She continues to waste in the tide line, where the sack finds its tribe of flip-flops, lighters, Lego bricks, fishing line. 3. The sack scraps magic, enchantment, and what it claims are abnormal transformings, endorsing just the morphing that makes polymers from oil. 4. The urge to change gains such force that the sack bursts and a hurtling of hands, shins, thighs arranges itself into human. 5. A gang of gulls rips up the sack, a knack they learnt at seal breeding time, beaking meaty strands from abandoned placentas. 6. The moon loosens her grip on the tides and uses her strength to wrench the sack from the skin instead. 7. The whole shore mourns the skin's demise. Waves slump on the sand. Limpets lose the will to cling. The sun can barely bring itself to rise. 8. The skin becomes a song, a symbol of our wrongs kept resoundingly alive, performed and stored in a digital archive. 9. The world molts its addiction to plastic. Thanks so much for listening. It was a great pleasure to share this afternoon.